So this particular plug that I'm showing you will run a wireless system, like you see here. So this would connect to the top of my camera. This would connect to the top of my camera. This is going to plug in here. And that's why you need the one with one band. And then, of course, this will go into the bottom of your Tascam. So now I am completely set up to be wireless, is what I am. And that's pretty impressive. Now, when I run the cord from here, which is the headphone jack that most people call it, but it's also a line only, I think is what it says. Let me take a quick look. Line out, sorry. It's also a headphone jack and a line out. Now, line out goes to line in, or your microphone, in your camera. So what's going to happen here? Well, this wireless setup is a very cheap wireless setup, and the audio is not all that good. And what happens is when I run it through the Tascam, through the back end here, so then my voice goes into here, Tascam does the processing and saving, and then it goes through here into the camera. So I basically upped the audio quite a few notches. Now, with the Tascam, it can record 2 audio tracks. One audio track it records is whatever you set it at regular. And then you can set the second one to be like, I don't know, 10 dBs less or whatever. And now if you yell in the microphone or there's a loud noise, the other audio track is going to pick it up. Now at the same time, we're going to send audio from here into the camera. So we now have 3 audio tracks. So if the one in the camera got messed up, or the one in the Tascam got messed up because everything was too loud, really, we're going to have audio that goes along somewhere. Now, we can sync this audio, or we can just use the audio in the camera if it's fine, if it all works out. So this does so much, and it gets so confusing that people get confused when they use it. Now, the reason you need the dead cat on here is because when you do your P's and your S's, if you're using this microphone. Now, if you're using this microphone, I don't care if it's indoors, outdoors, you need a dead cat. There are cheap ones, good ones, you decide what you want to get. So, when we use these mics, we need a dead cat. When we're going to connect directly to the camera and use these mics with this plugged into the camera, we're still going to need a dead cat. The only time we need this dead cat is if we're using these mics here. That's the only time. Now, any other time, if I'm using a wireless setup or I'm using the mobile mic, I mean, they all plug in the bottom, and I got my audio going that way. So now what I'm going to do with this Tascam Dr-40 is I'm going to do a few tests for you, and we'll see how it sounds. But it is definitely going to be connected to my Canon 80D. Right now the video I've been taking all this time and the audio you've been hearing all this time is from my GoPro 8. But I'm going to connect this to the camera, and then we're going to start doing some audio tests. And we'll see how that comes out. So let me set up, and I'll be right back with you. But this is what the Dr-40 would sound like when it's connected to a wireless system. And this is a cheap wireless system. It's not a big expensive one. So I'm basically trying to see if the wireless system sounds better with the Dr-40, or does it sound better when I plug it directly in. Okay, right now I've got the wireless system plugged directly into the Canon 80D. I am not using the Tascam Dr-40 whatsoever. So you can see what the difference is when I plug the wireless in directly to the camera to where I use it with the Dr-40. With this setup, I've got the Tascam Dr-40 plugged directly into the Canon 80D. And I'm using the microphones in the front of the Tascam Dr-40. Now, remember I said you got to have a dead cat on it, and that's what I do have on it. I have a dead cat, and I'm using the two microphones on the actual Tascam. So this is really the only test I can do with this because there's nothing else where you can plug into it and run a different test altogether, like I did with the wireless setup. So this is how the microphones sound when you have them connected directly to your camera and you're filtering your voice through the audio Tascam Dr-40 into the camera. So let's move on to another microphone. Okay, with this particular setup, I've got an XLR input plugged into the Tascam Dr-40. I've got my TRS cable connected to the out where the headset would go in the Dr-40, and it's plugged into the mic on the camera. So basically, I'm filtering my voice through the XLR into the Tascam Dr-40, into the TRS red cable, going into the camera, and you get to hear how this audio sounds. So this is quite interesting because I've used the mix on the front, I've used the wireless setup, and now I'm using XLR input to hear all the different audios that are going on. I got one more test I want to do after this one, and that's with the Rode shotgun mic, the very big one. I want to put that on, and we'll see how that sounds. Okay, now this is without the Tascam Dr-40. This is just the Rode microphone connected directly into the camera. Now, running just the Rode does make the camera a whole lot lighter, as they say, running and gunning, to make it easier. So, than the Tascam Dr-40. But does it sound better with all the other tests I did with the Tascam Dr-40? That's what we'll have to see when I upload this video. Now, I'm thinking it does, but we're going to have to see. And I'm not going to do anything to the audio file. I'm just going to raise the volume or lower the volume, and that's it when I put it into the program. So I got this little setup to where if I need wireless, if I'm too far away from the camera, it still goes through the Tascam Dr-40. I can run a lapel mic if I'm walking around with the camera. Or I could run a shotgun mic if I want to do that too. You really have so many choices with a Tascam Dr-40 when you run the audio. And you could not even carry the Tascam Dr-40 on top of the camera. You could just put it in your pocket. They sell cases where you can put them inside your pocket and run your wire and you're good. And you can hang it off your side, or you can make a belt loop. It's up to you. But one thing's for sure, I'm betting that the Tascam Dr-40, when I put this audio together and put this video together, it's going to sound better than it did with just this so-called Rode shotgun mic. If it doesn't, I'm going to be quite surprised. So, you tell me which one you think sounded better. And this is the reason there was no video. It was basically just so you could hear the sound of my voice, how it sounded, so you could determine which one that you think sounds better. Does it sound better with the Tascam? Does it sound better with just the wireless hooked directly in? Or does it sound better with the Rode hooked directly in? That's what you're going to have to decide and with this information. Now, I didn't see a lot of videos with the Tascam D40 connected to a DSLR. I don't think a lot of people knew you could run from the headphone jack a line out TRS cable to the mic on the camera, and you hit the plus and minus signs to determine how much volume you're sending into it. Now, on my Canon camera, where I have the manual voice set up, I only have it 2 notches up, so I scrolled it all the way down and went 1, 2, and that's it. And in the Tascam, I used the plus and minus signs to set where I wanted those levels, and I would make sure I checked the levels on the Tascam and the levels on the camera to see how close they are, to see how good it would sound. So, okay, let me get this in post. I'm kind of curious what this is going to sound like. And you tell me in the bottom, does it sound better with Tascam? Or does it sound better with just this Rode mic I'm using? Okay, this is a higher end microphone that we're running. And this is an XLR input. And we have the Tascam set to mic. And we're running it through into the camera. So what I'm wondering with this one is, does it sound better with a more expensive microphone? Now this microphone runs about $190 brand new, but you can get them on eBay for like 70, 80 bucks and up if you look around. This does not need phantom power because it actually uses a AAA battery, AA battery inside the actual microphone. Now, all my meters are reading good. Now I do have an XL microphone you'd listened to previously that was about, I don't know, $40 microphone. You could go back in the video and open two windows and kind of play the two of them and see which one sounds better. But it does give a whole new objective to sound when you start listening to it when it goes through a Tascam into your DSLR or mirrorless camera to see how your audio is going to sound. Now the reason I'm bringing all this up is because you can get these Tascams DR40s on eBay if you look around for between $50 and $80. They will go as high as $100, $129. I wouldn't pay that. If I was going to pay $129, I would just go buy the Tascam DR40X. That goes for $170. You might as well spend the extra 70 bucks. But if you keep an eye on eBay, I've seen them go. I've seen people get them for $50. But they had to watch eBay pretty quick. And a lot of times pay attention to the wear and tear on the buttons. Like really look at the pictures closely because you'll see the writing's worn off. And if you've never used one of these, you really need that writing to tell you what's going on. There's tons of videos to show you how to use it, but you don't need a manual, and you can get those online. But you definitely want to see the writing that's on the buttons. And but if you're used to using it and the writing's all wore off and you broke yours, well, you can get one fairly cheap because you already know what you're doing. So this is the Sony microphone. I'm hoping it sounds better because it did cost more money, but we're going to see compared to the other one. And I think that'll be my last test for microphones for a little while on this Tascam. But this is pretty much what I'm using all the time for audio whenever I do anything. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see some more tests or how to set up your Tascam DR40 or how I've got it configured, let me know. I'll make another video and pop it up there and show you what I do. All right, catch you guys on the next one.